With this workflow, you can take any video that you want to promote on YouTube, Vimeo, or any other platform and quickly generate a list of the exact Google keywords it might rank for, create a targeted list of 30 high-value keywords that will supercharge your SEO and ranking, and develop a high SEO title, video description, and tags by simply inputting an MP3 link into a spreadsheet and allowing the workflow to do the rest. All right, and we can see here that it made me a Google Sheet with all my information. We're going to go ahead and click in here, and there is all of the keywords that it was able to pull from me based on what it was able to find in my video. And you'll see that we've got thousands of different potential keywords that we're going to be able to use if we choose to use them ourselves, but that's a lot. So we go ahead and we had it sort it for us. Comes up with, in this case, 31 different options. Got some high volume, maybe not super high volume, but a lot of people aren't necessarily searching for OpenAI API key, but these are some decent volumes. We give them scores based on their similarity to the keywords in our video, the competition that each keyword has, as well as we have a final ranking score algorithm to determine what are the highest value keywords that we can use. So perfect. And we also get our title. So, all right, how to set up OpenAI API key and integrate with N8N workflow, as well as a description. And boom, we got a bunch of tags as well that we can go ahead and paste right into YouTube. Perfect. And as always, you can download this N8N workflow for free from my free school community, where we give away over 25 different business-focused workflows for free, with new free workflows coming out every week, along with tutorial videos, how-to setup guides, and a community of automation-focused business owners all looking to collaborate and grow their businesses with AI-powered automations. You can also join our advanced community for tech support assistance, marketing and business growth discussions, as well as getting to pick my brain on N8N, AI automation, or businesses in general. All right, and let's go ahead and go into the Video SEO Maximizer workflow itself. So let's just go ahead and go here. You'll see there's instructions on the left-hand side that explain exactly how to use this workflow. But what we start with is a Google Drive trigger. We're going to go ahead and just pull an MP3 file from a folder. I just have a folder called audio files. I dump my MP3s into it, and then it goes ahead and downloads them. Just another simple Google Drive trigger. Just grabs the ID from the previous node, downloads my MP3. So how to set up OpenAI API is the name of my audio there. And then we run it through this HTTP node, which is actually pulling from OpenAI. So what we do is we're just grabbing the OpenAI endpoint here, so /transcriptions, and we're using my OpenAI account. If you don't know how to use OpenAI or how to set that up, I have another video. I'll have the video link in the description below. Not too hard to set up, but what we're doing is parameter type, N8N binary file name is just, the name of it is just file, and the input data is going to be called data. So that's where we're getting from the Google Drive. It's just called data. Grab that. We have another parameter called form data. Name is going to be model, and the value is going to be Whisper 1. And so we're using the Whisper transcription model through OpenAI. And then we have another one, form data. Name is the response underscore format, and the value is going to be SRT. What the SRT does is it actually gives us the timestamps for our audio. All right, so no more having to guess where what you said was in the video. You're not going to get just a block of text. It also gives you the timestamps, which is also helpful because you can then take this file. You're going to be able to upload this into the caption option as well. So it allows you to develop your captions nice and easy. So trying to give you as much value as we can with this workflow by making it as simple as we possibly can. All right, so then the workflow goes through about 4 stages here. The first stage is simply setting up our Google Sheets document, as well as inputting the transcript directly into a Google Doc, just a Google Docs node. You put in your Google Docs credentials, and then I have found that when you set this up, it only allows you to put your file into a base folder in your drive. So if I come over here, so I got my drive, and then it's only allowing me to put it into one of these folders. It won't let me dig in deeper. So I'm going to put it into my AI one, but we'll see here on my next node, I have a Google Drive move file, so file move node here. and grab that ID. I'm going to move it into the exact folder I want. And so I have it in a folder somewhere down here under my YouTube, under descriptions, actually transcripts, under transcripts. And so then we just find OpenAI, set up OpenAI, and here we are today. This is the one I just made. And there's my transcript with my timestamps. Beautiful. All right. So then we move on, and then we're going to take it and we're going to add the transcription link to another folder, another file. And in this case, I have it set up. If you have any of the other YouTube workflows that I've put out, they're all available for free in my free school community. It would set it up. And so I just come over here, we see set up OpenAI, and it creates my video transcription file link. And I open that up, and there is the transcript again, exactly how I wanted it. All right, so then we just update the Google Doc, and here is where it actually puts in the transcript itself. So over here, we create the document, we move the document, we add the link to the document to the spreadsheet, and then we actually upload the file or the transcript into the Google Doc right here. And that's all that does. So then next, we move on and we create the spreadsheet that's going to hold all of our SEO terms, all of our Google Keyword Planner data. And so it's right here. So this is the file that it made. And what it does is it creates the Google Sheet. And so as simple as that, it's just a create. And then we're going to have the file name again. And we strip out that .mp3 and we add keyword data. So that sets up the name. And we'll come over here. So set up OpenAI API, stripped out that .mp3. All right. And so I'm going to then make several sheets in the document. We're going to have a from Google Keyword Planner. We're going to have one called sorted, have one called finalized, and another one called referenced videos. And so it creates all those sheets. The issue is that it makes a blank spreadsheet. There's nothing in it. And I'll explain what happens in just a second. But just like the Google Doc, it sets it into the it doesn't even ask me where to put it here. But it creates it kind of in the top level of your Google Drive. So we need to use another Google Drive node in order to move that file into the folder that we want it to go to. And so I just put it into one called descriptions, and that's in my YouTube folder on Google Drive. All right, so now we actually have to set up the Google Sheets file, because if we did this, it would just be a completely blank file. It would just be a file with a name, and there's nothing else in it. So we need to actually put our columns in, and we need to put our columns into each of the sheets of the Google Sheets document. So what we're going to do is we have, all four of these are essentially the same. They're just going to use different column headers. So you see here, this one says keywords, source seed, volume, competition. And then this one has, looks like the same numbers, the same items. But this one's proposed title, proposed description, proposed tag. And then down here, we have video mention, timestamps, context, and reminder. All right. So then what it does is we set a field called columns, and then we set these as what are going to be our column headers. And they're just comma separated, no leading or trailing white space. They just need to be comma separated. You can have words in here. So as long as it's in between the commas, you can name it whatever you want. Just understand that you don't have any white space leading or trailing inside of the commas. All right, and then what it does is this code node then just separates out those into individual items, individual JSON items, so we can see them here in our schema. All right, and then over here we do a append action for a Google Sheets node. We're going to use the same ID that we created the document with. And then we're going to go into the sheet, and here I hard coded in. You can either change it if you need to, or do it by ID, but you're going to have to find the ID somewhere else. But I just hard coded it in, made it much easier. And then when you first look at this node, if you've never run it before, all of this is going to be blank. It's going to say that there aren't any columns, and that's because there isn't even a sheet yet. Because I've run the workflow once, this sheet ID returns these values as column names. And that makes sense because I created the columns using the workflow. But if you're just doing this one by one item at a time here, one node at a time, if you come in here, you're not going to see any columns. Don't worry about that. it will create them when it runs this. All right. If you attempt to run this after you've created it for the first time, it will fail. And that's because there's nothing being input into the column names. And this is expecting to append rows. And what happens when you run it the first time, it does append something. It does add something to those columns that it creates. So we see here we have our column headings, but it also input this into that column. And I don't know why it does that. I have no clue, but it seems to double create it. So it creates your first line, your first row with your column headings, and then it creates a second row with the column headings again. And so because of that, we need to remove that second line. Otherwise, you're going to mess up your data. So we have another Google Sheets node. This one is a delete rows or columns. We have the same ID for our Google Sheet. We hard code in the sheet name, and then we're just going to delete a row starting on row number 2, which is where that extra row of column headings is. And we just delete one, and it will return a true success. All right, and so that does that for our first page. It's going to do that for our second page. So here we have keyword volume. We have our seed similarity score, our competition score, and our final score as our column headings, which was different. I was incorrect earlier. It is different than our first one, which is the keyword, source seed, volume, competition index, low bid, and high bid. And this is the data that we're going to be getting from Google Keyword Planner. Now, the source seed is not a thing that you get from Google Keyword Planner. And in fact, I might remove this before launching this video just because I found a better way to upload and process the keywords. And that is just not going to, it doesn't make sense to use a source seed anymore. So you may not see that in the final version of this, but we shall see in a minute. All right, and then again, second column, or second sheet will give us the columns of keyword, volume, seed similarity score, competition score, and final score. And these scores are from over here in the workflow. So we actually developed an algorithm in order to create scores based on the keywords that we're getting from Google Keyword Planner. And then we process that further into the workflow. Then it's the same process. It separates them out. It adds the column headers, and then it removes that extra column. And then our third sheet gets the columns of proposed title, proposed description, and proposed tags. So those are the SEO'd title, SEO'd description, and proposed tags based on the SEO that we get out of Google Keyword Planner that we have processed and used algorithmic calculations to figure out the best SEO for your video. All right, and so there we see our 3 columns. And then it separates them again, adds it to the sheet, and then removes that extra column. And then this final one is for sometimes when you're making a video, just like I did a little bit earlier in the video, I'll say, oh, if you check out my video that I made previously, the link is in the description below. It's kind of a pain to have to remember what video you mentioned if you don't have an exact script that you made. So I just made it so that it'll scan the transcript for me, find the video that I mentioned, give me the timestamp that it's at so that I can go ahead and add the little thing at the top of the YouTube video. And then it gives me the context of where I was discussing it and why I was discussing it, as well as it gives me a reminder in the column. Let's see, did it give me any referenced videos? It didn't give me any referenced videos for that one, probably because I didn't have any. But if there was one, it would say, you need to add this to your video description. Just a big warning sign to let you know it's there. I just hard code that in. All right, and so then again, it separates those columns, it adds it to the sheet and removes the extra row. All right, finally, let's go ahead and zoom in for you here. Not finally, but after we've set up our Google Sheets to be able to process all of our data, and again, it's so simple. All you have to do is put an MP3 into a file in Google Drive, and it does everything else for you. So what it does from there, after we have our Google Sheet, is first it's going to scan the transcript, and it's going to be looking for those referenced videos. So we see here we have an AI node, and I just input the transcript. I just come down here, wherever it was, and we got transcribe the video. So way down here, there we go. So I just grabbed this and I dragged it over. I did change this to a first rather than an item. And the reason for that is because it's running through so many different code nodes that for some reason code nodes break, linking between prior nodes. So if you just add that first, it fixes it no problem. And then we have a system prompt, and the system prompt is simply you're gonna read through the transcript, and you're gonna be looking for phrases like "I made a video about," or "check out my other video," or "I covered this in a previous video," or "the link will be in the description below." It's looking for things like that in order to be able to give you the callback to you having made another video, and the fact that you made mention that it should be in the description. All right, and so it outputs a JSON, a structured JSON of the video mentioned, the timestamps, the context with which you make that statement, as well as a reminder that I said I hardcode is just add this video to the description. All right, and then it needs to always output at least one object. It's going to be an array. So even if it's an empty array, we come back over here, we'll see it's just empty. It says none with no timestamps, and just empty, empty. So it needs to give us something in there just so that we know that there's something there. All right, and then we give it an example, and that's how that one works. All right, after that, we split out the output from the previous node that gave us our array of videos mentioned, because if you have more than one video mentioned, you want to make sure that they're added to separate columns in your sheet here. All right, and then we add those to the Google Sheet. So we just have, I don't know why it's called title and description, but we append a row into the sheet, and then we put it into the sheet called referenced videos. This is hard coded in. If you want to change the sheet names, you just need to change it yourself. And then we just came over here and we grabbed from our split out node, the name of the video, the timestamp of the video, the context, and the reminders. And so we just came over and just grabbed them and pasted them right in there. All right. And then we aggregate it all back together into one item because we don't want to be processing numbers of items through the rest of the workflow. We just go ahead and do that. I guess I could have done a limit, but aggregate works just as well. And from there, what we do is kind of the real work of this workflow is we have this AI node here that takes the transcript again, so that from our transcribe with timestamps. And then what it does is its job is to try to identify about, I think I tell it 20. We tell it 20 high quality keywords that it is able to identify from the video. All right, and so this isn't through Google Keyword Planner yet. This is just OpenAI, and I think I'm using what, a 4.1 mini? Yep, 4.1 mini model. You know, it's darn near as good as 4.0 for a third of the price. And so it just comes in and it reads the transcript and it tries to identify those keywords. So it's prioritizing common terms, simple actions, clear benefits, well understood tech or industry words. It's extracting phrases that represent the core ideas from the video, how real users would naturally search. And like when I was setting this up, it kept trying to give me these huge long tail keywords that just had absolutely no search volume whatsoever. Nobody was searching for this stuff, and I kept getting 0 results. So I had to what would people actually be searching for? Short, small phrases. And they need to be SEO optimized to the best that the model is able to do. All right. And so I have it come down here again, 20 keywords. They need to sound natural, so they can't just be random strings of words. It needs to be something that somebody would actually be searching for. It needs to be 2 to 3 words. Any longer than that, you're just not going to get good results. It needs to represent known search concepts, just not made up things that the model thinks might work. Nope, it needs to be things people would actually do. And it needs, for me, here, I use it myself, it needs to cover tools and tech, use cases and benefits to the client, as well as the audience and niche specific things that might make sense for them. All right, and because those are things that people are going to be searching for. So we have the phrases 2 to 3 words. They need to sound like a real Google search, use natural common words. It needs to prioritize relatability and searchability. It needs to be exactly 20 phrases, no more, no less. And when in doubt, make it shorter, pick the most searchable piece, and think, would a human actually search this? So then we give it a formatted example. It's not actually an example, it's just how we would want the output because we're using a structured JSON parser. No headers, no explanations, only JSON, just give me the keywords. All right, so nothing longer than 3 words. Don't be robotic. Don't copy complex or awkward, nothing from the transcript. It needs to process it itself and make it so that it would work in a Google search. No vague slogans like boost your success. All right, no generic single words just like calendar or automation, which you're going to get thousands and thousands of keywords just off of those terms. So we need it to be a little bit more specific because it's based on your video. No inventing any keywords, and then no markdown explanations or anything outside. And then here we do have an example. All right, bad outputs would be something like calendar funnel flow. That makes no sense. Or workflow automation calendar integration. That's just a string of keywords. That doesn't work. And then productivity magic app. That's not, no one's actually going to search for that. All right, so then we give it some chain of thought reasoning as well down here. And we'll see over here, it gave me OpenAI API, N8N integration, chat model, ChatGPT setup, Dolly model, although I'm not using Dolly. I do talk about it, Dolly in that model, that's what I do, but it should be DALLE, but oh well. Whisper transcription, API key setup. So great, these are all exactly what I would hope to see in a video about setting up OpenAI's API. Wonderful. So then what we do is we run it through this execute workflow node here. And I did originally have the workflow in this workflow. I had to separate it out. So I'm going to give you both of these workflows. And it's actually running this guy over here. And let me just go ahead and refresh just to make sure that nothing is hinky with it when I show you this here. Okay, so this is the workflow you're going to get that we're actually running to do the Google Keyword Planner processing. So it takes inputs. It takes a keyword seed, spreadsheet ID, and a sheet name. So we come back over here. We see our execute workflow. It's pulling from the Google Keyword Planner processing. That's this guy. Let's see, that's the name we have up here. Perfect. And it is pulling the keyword seed, the spreadsheet ID, and the sheet name. And the sheet name we do hard code in. That's that first sheet where we want our Google Keyword Planner information to go into. All right, and so our keyword seed is just simply the output from the previous model, all of the keywords that it did. So it's a big old array. It's actually an object of all the keywords, and it needs to be an object. It'll break if it's not an object. It's not just an array. It needs to be this object of keywords. If you're not techie, don't worry about that. Just leave it how it is. All right, and then it grabs the sheet ID, and it grabs that sheet ID way back from when we first created our Google Sheets. And that's the same ID that it created all of the extra sheets and all the columns into. All right, so that information then comes through this workflow here. We just reset the keywords into an object just to ensure that it is, just in case for some reason you break it. I try to refix it by making an object again called keyword seed. That is what Google Keyword Planner is actually looking for, is an object called keyword seed. And so then we do an HTTP request node. And here we see the endpoint that we're going to be calling into the Google Ads API. Now, this is different from the Google Cloud Console API. It's actually different. There is a different setup that you have to do. And so for this one, the endpoint that we're actually calling is the generate keyword ideas. You do need your customer ID. And in just a second, I'll go through that. I just need you to understand that this is the endpoint that we're calling. You'll need to set up a Google Ads API credential for this. All right, this is separate from your Google Cloud Console credentials. It needs to be Google Ads. All right, and so to do that is just a little bit complicated. So what you need is a Google Ads Manager account. So you'll need to set up your Google Ads account, and then you need to set up an additional Google Ads Manager account. These are separate. All right. If you don't have the manager account, you're not going to be able to set up the API. And that's because the normal Google Ads account, if you come over here to admin, it won't have this little button that says API Center. And you need to go into that to be able to apply for API access. Now, there are 3 tiers of it. In fact, let's come over to the documentation on it. You need to apply for it. And the reason I'm not going to go into it is because all of my credentials are fully on display there, and I don't want you all to see that. So once you go into your manager account, you go over to your admin, you click on API Center, then you'll have the option of setting up and applying for the API. Now, there are 3 tiers of API access. There is the free tier, there is the basic tier, and then there's the standard tier. You need basic access. Let me see if it explains it here. It doesn't say it here. Maybe over here. Someone moved my stuff. I had this set up. All right, so what you need is a developer. Here we go. So there's test, basic, and standard. You need basic access, and you need to apply for and get approved by Google in order to obtain it. All right, and so in the API Center, you're going to click into the account. You're going to get your free access. Once you have your free access, you're going to come over to this link here, this documentation, and I will include it with the video in the description. You'll have this, no worries. But you're going to click on this to obtain your developer token. It's going to open up this page here, and then you're going to sign up for a new developer token. In order to do that, you need a tool design document that you need to submit to them. So what I've done is I've put together a form tool design document for you for this tool. I even have a copy of the workflow to include. All you have to do is set kind of the minimum required information here. So what is your company name? What is it you guys do? What are your websites, or your website or websites if you have them? And just fill in kind of the template information here. And so what this document does is it lets Google know what you're going to be doing with Google Keyword Planner through their Google Ads API. And so what we're doing is we're generating a transcript, we're extracting the keywords, we're querying Google's Keyword Planner, we're storing that in Google Sheets, and then we're generating tags and descriptions for YouTube videos. And that's it. I applied 2 days later, I got approved. So it was nice and simple. Like there wasn't much to it. It's probably more complicated sounding than it actually is. And so once you have access, it will give you your customer ID. It'll give you your developer token. And that's all you need to input in here. Otherwise, the way this HTTP node works is we're going to input our keyword seed. And that's just the same keyword seed that we were sending from over here. We are targeting, here I am targeting the United States. If you want to target another country, you would need to change your geo targeting constant here. And you just Google that. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I'm not going to be able to tell you. So you just Google what are the geo target constants for Google Ads API. You'll get a nice big list for it. All right. Then we also have language. 1000 is English. Again, if you're using a different language for your native location, you would want to change this number. Just Google that. And then the keyword plan network that we're searching, I'm searching through the Google search and partners. So it's the search and the partners network. If you don't want the partners network, you just take this and you just delete that out. All right. I like to get as much data as I can to be able to identify the best keywords. So I'm using the search and the partners. And so that's how that works. It runs it through, it sends all of the keywords all at once into Google, into the Google Keyword Planner, and then it's going to return out a big list of those keywords. And so then what this next node does is it tags it with the keyword seed. So then next what we do is we take all of the keywords that we got from Google Keyword Planner. It comes in one big list that gives you monthly data. It gives you the exact number of searches per month for the past year. But it's almost too much information to process. So we run it through this code node, and what we get back is the stripped out information of just our keyword. It gives us the source seed. We get the volume back. We get the competition, which is that high, medium, low, or unknown number. We get the competition index, which is the number associated with the amount of competition. So 100 being the highest and 0 being the lowest. And so it gives you some number in there. It gives you the low bid as well as the high bid if you were intending to use this for Google Ads. So then it takes all that information. It's going to upload it into Google Sheets. So we're going to append a row into our Google Sheet. And so there's our sheet ID that we pull from back over here. All right. And then we also find the sheet name, which we also passed along. That's the from GKP. And so long as the sheet has been created, it will create the columns as well. And then we just this one hasn't run because it's a separate workflow, but it'll input the keyword, it'll input the source seed, the volume, the competition index, the low bid, high bid, etc. All right, so it inputs all that information into our Google Sheet. It then, because it's processed thousands of pieces of data and added thousands of pieces of data to our Google Sheet. We use a limit node to send only one more piece of information. I got a wait node here, and that was largely because of the process that I had before when I needed the source seed. Again, this one probably won't be there when you see it, but then we end with a response, a set field node in order to label this response, because this execute workflow node is waiting for a response. And so we just label that response. It doesn't matter what it says because it's going to be processed through regardless. So after the execute workflow node runs using our Google Keyword Planner processing agent here, it then moves forward through the process. We limit it one more time just in case we have any extra data that came through for some reason. Considering the fact that I'm limiting it, I may remove one or more of these nodes just to make it a little more streamlined for you guys. But then what we do is we read the sheet that we just put all this information into. That way that this workflow has all of those keywords that we just got. And so we're getting it from our Google Keyword Planner sheet, same sheet ID, just pulling all of that information, and it's going to give us all of the lines from that sheet. So here we have nearly 3,300 items, and it gives us each keyword and the volume for it, the competition for it, the competition index, as well as the low and high bids. All right. So then we process this information because, how do we determine out of 4,000, 5,000, 10,000, I've seen 30,000 keywords come through at some points. How do we determine what are the best keywords? Do we base that on strictly the volume? So the more people searching for it, the better. Is that true if there's a lot of competition though? Or is it based on how close it is related to the words inside of the video that we've made? So we might get a keyword that's super high volume, but isn't found in our video anywhere. Is that going to give us more SEO value? And so I created several different algorithms in order to create scores based on the information that we got from Google Keyword Planner. And then after taking all these scores, we aggregate the scores using another formula in order to find out what are the best 400 words out of that entire list we've generated that will give us the most SEO juice that we can possibly get. All right, so the first algorithm we do is a volume score. And so for the volume score, we just do some logarithmic calculation to figure out, the higher the volume, the better the score, essentially. So it outputs that. The next one does a seed similarity score. And so what this one is doing is it is looking at the keywords that the AI agent originally developed way up here when it wasn't run through Google Keyword Planner yet. But based on what's actually in the video, we've developed a list of keywords that the AI thinks would be the keywords for our video. And so what we do is we take that and we score it against the keywords that Google Keyword Planner made. And so is this keyword that Google Keyword Planner has given us, is it found in any way, shape, or form within the keywords that are actually in our video? And so if the keyword that Google Keyword Planner has given us is found in our video, it's going to get a higher score because it will be a higher SEO value to us because it's there. Whereas if it's not in there and there's not even one section or one word in that Google Keyword Planner output, that one keyword that it's given us, because it processes one at a time. If it's not in our video at all, it gets a lower score because it's going to give us less SEO value just because it's not actually in the video, and Google transcribes all these videos themselves and it ranks it based on what's actually in the video and so on. And so we need to figure out what's in the video that we can pair it to a keyword that's actually in Google's system to get the most value out of it. And that's essentially what this formula does here. We then also take all of the competition scores. We look at the competition, if it's high, if it's medium, if it's low, based on the number value that they've given us. The higher the competition, the lower the score it gets, just because we don't necessarily want to be trying to compete against other people who are already creating high value content or creating high value ads. Our content would be featured way lower if we're trying to fight against people who have, or keywords that have these high competition numbers. But with that said, just because it's high competition doesn't mean it's a bad keyword. And so I have a minimum threshold of a score of essentially 50%. And so it just weights this a little less than the other values that we have here. And then finally, we run it through a final score generator. So it's going to create a final score. And it just has this formula here. We take our volume score, our seed similarity score, and our competition score. We give each of those a weight, and then it outputs a final score value out of 1. So it's 0 to 1. And the higher the number, the higher the final score out, up to 1, the better it is for us to be using that in our copy. So our description, our title, and our tags in order to be able to get it to rank higher. All right. So once we have all of that, the 400 output keywords that it gives us are then run through another AI agent, again using 4.1 mini. We take the transcript of our video, we take those 400 keywords that we were just given, and then what we're asking it to do, I'm going to make it an expression for you here so we can open it up, is I want it to develop a high-value title, a high-value video description, and tags that I can input into the Google's tag section when I make my YouTube videos. All right, and so what we're having it do is it's going to create a set of 30 keywords. So that is over here under our sorted. So these are the 30 keywords that it's creating that you're going to be able to advertise on if you want. And you want to make sure that these are in the copy and any promotional content that you make about these videos, because this is going to give you probably the highest volume that you're going to be able to get. It's going to give you the highest score. So it's a combination of the volume, the seed similarity, and the competition scores. So again, the higher it is, the more likely you want to include that term in whatever you're doing to promote that video to get the most SEO out of it. All right. And then it also creates our, no, this one does not create anything else. It creates that list of final 30 keywords. All right. And then that list of 30 keywords is then split out, just a simple output split into the individual items. So it gave me 31 here for some reason. Those are then added to the sheet. So again, the same sheet ID we originally created. The sheet name is that sorted, what we hard code in here that I just showed you. So they're sorted. And then we just input each of the items. So the keyword, the volume, the seed similarity score, the competition score, and the final score. And then also those 30 keywords or so it's about 31 here, are then run through this AI node that creates my title, my description, and my tags. So here we have the keywords that it's just given in a comma separated list, because otherwise it's just too much data. It's an object. I had to break it up. I had to create this .map in order to be able to create a comma separated list, as well as the transcript of the video. So again, we're always trying to ground it in what's actually in the video, because that will give us the most SEO value. All right, and so this guy creates the title, the description, and the tags. So here we have a compelling keyword-informed title. We have a description, a natural informative description, and a list of SEO-relevant tags. The inputs, again, the transcript, and that SEO-validated keyword set. All right, and so it just needs to try to include 1 to 2 strong keywords. It needs to make it clickable, human, emotionally interesting. If you have a different style of writing your headlines or your titles, I'd recommend changing this line right here in the system prompt. And I tell it to avoid robotic phrases, aim for under 60 characters if possible. And then we have it create a description, natural flowing paragraph, introduces the content clearly and conversationally, integrates 2 to 4 keywords naturally into the copy. No bolding and no lists. If you don't have this in here, it tries to just set aside, here's the keyword. And Google will catch you doing that. It's called keyword stuffing. It'll lower the value of your videos. All right, and so we explain to the viewers what they're going to learn or get, who it's for. We include a natural human call to action, like subscribe for more content, download our free guide, join our community. Again, if you want to update the system prompt, you would do so here. Tell it exactly where you want people to be sent, whether it's your website or your community or whatever. If you're selling a product, just make sure to update this here in order to get the call to action to match with what you're actually trying to do. All right, so the tone should feel like a YouTuber speaking to their audience. Tags, we have it generate a list of 10 to 20 keyword tags. Really, I'd prefer it to do more, but we have a 500 character limit. And the output it gives us are things like OpenAI API key, N8N workflow automation, OpenAI chat model integration. So things that people might actually be searching for. Those are the tags, which is exactly what we want. All right, and then we have some style rules. We don't want any markdown styling. We don't want all caps. We don't want any emojis in the tags or the description. If you want emojis, I'd go in and add them. I've just found that emojis, it either gets emoji happy and just they're everywhere, or it only does like one. It's really hard to code the system prompt to get it just right. You can always go in and add it yourself. But again, no keyword stuffing, prioritize clarity and readability. It needs to use natural language, and it needs to use tags for discoverability, not just copying and pasting the keywords, right? And so then we have our output format of title, description, and tags. Perfect. And here, for some reason, my example has emojis, but such is life. So that's what it does. And then it outputs that. It adds it all to the Google Sheets one last time. It's going to put it into a sheet called finalized. There we go, finalized. Gives me my proposed title, my description, and my tags, which is exactly what we are looking for. Now there's, and again, we just have our outputs here. Now there's one other thing I do need to point out. So let me come over here to my transcription node. Whisper, OpenAI's Whisper transcription model is only able to do audio up to 25 megabytes. And I have found that 25 megabytes is about 17, 18 minutes long, depending on your audio encoding. So the audio encoding I use is about 17, 18 minutes long. And so because of that, sometimes my videos are too long. And so because I want to try to get, I want to be able to use this workflow for my videos, regardless of whether the video is too long. I also made 2 tools that are available in my school community. These are Windows tools. So if you have an Apple computer, we might be able to figure out how to do it together, but I use Windows, and so I made it for Windows. But I made a tool that can convert MP4s or M4A, so video files, into MP3s. And I also made another tool that'll take those MP3s and it'll split them into chunks of 15 minutes. That way you can then upload them into the Google Drive, and then it'll process each part. And then because it's in parts, you might need to then further process it down the line, where you just take the descriptions and the titles it gave you and have it combine them. But just so you know, if you try to upload something bigger than 25 megabytes, this will not work. So you need to chunk it. And if you chunk it, you're going to have to further process it. So just be aware of that. So as you can see, the Video SEO Maximizer allows you to quickly generate high-value SEO keywords, titles, descriptions, and tags for any video that you can make, allowing you to focus on creating your content and not on the technical setup part. And if you found this video helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and share the video, because it really does help us get this content out there to those who need it. And also make sure to click the link in the video description below so you can download today's workflow for free from my free school community. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together. I'll see you inside.